Hello, we're here with the Jerusalem Connection Spot Report for this week, and we're real happy to have a question and answer session with Dr. Jim Hutchens, who is the president of the Jerusalem Connection U.S. First of all, Dr. Hutchens, what is the basic purpose of the Jerusalem Connection?
That's a good question. Thanks for bringing that up. The Jerusalem Connection is an organization that's designed to enlighten, to educate, to activate, inform people about the condition among the Jews and among Israel. It's a support Israel organization. That's basically what we do.
Why is this important for today?
I think it's important for today because of the rising anti-Semitism worldwide, especially in Europe, where Prime Minister Netanyahu has said it approaches World War II prior to Germany taking over the anti-Semitism. Plus, in the United States, I think it's important to recognize that anti-Semitism is rapidly on the rise in secular academia. And so it's important to address that, and that's what we attempt to do.
So you're saying that, well, of course we know naturally most Jews, I would think, would support Israel and the Jewish people there, but you're saying that it's important for Christians to do this.
I think it's very important for Christians to do, but the further we progress in this world, the more Jews and Christians are going to be linked together. I think that's from the prophetic scriptures. And I think we see it even today, especially Christian Zionists and Bible-believing Jews are linked together.
Well, what do you mean exactly by a Christian Zionist?
Christian Zionist, we define a Christian Zionist as one who supports the modern state of Israel as at least a partial fulfillment of God's covenant promises for a homeland for the Jewish people. I say partial because when the Messiah comes, he will fulfill all the promises. But the fact that Israel is back in the land, Jews are back in the land, is the first step in that sequence.
Don't some people say that Christian Zionism just means that you just rubber stamp anything that the government of Israel does?
There are some people that say that, but that's not the case. As a matter of fact, we have been very critical about some of the decisions that the government of Israel has made, specifically with regard to a two-state solution. It's a failed program. It's a failed policy.
And you think that relates to the Bible? You're relating it to the Bible.
It relates to the Bible. The land promises are eternal. They're irrefutable, and they will fully take place at some point.
Well, now, can I just ask you, what does this have to do with the regular, everyday Christian going from about their business in life today in America?
Well, I think it's a recognition on the part of Christians that they are informed. And that is our purpose, to inform, educate, and activate support for Israel and the Jews. But I think it's also important because Jesus criticized the Pharisees, those who were supposed to be the most knowledgeable. He criticized them in Matthew 16. He said that they could look at the sky and see the color of the sky and tell what the weather was going to be the next day, but they couldn't tell, or they didn't discern or understand the signs of the times. I think what we're attempting to do is to enable God's people to better understand the signs of the times.
Well, now, didn't someone actually say that they thought that you and the Jerusalem Connection would have a specific role in what is called by everybody the end times?
We had one of our board members several years ago, a Jewish man, who told us that there was coming a time progressively, it's kind of a work in progress, progressively, where we would be able to look at an event that's taking place with regard to Israel and say this is that which is referred to in the Bible. And I think increasingly that will be our role.
Could you give me just a specific example of that?
Sure. For example, if you take the prophecies of Zechariah, chapter 12, for example, where it says, Jerusalem, I'm going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. I'll make them an immovable rock, and anyone who tries to move them will harm themselves. I'll make the leaders of Judah like a firepot in a woodpile, like a blazing torch among sheaves, and they will consume all the surrounding countries, left and right, but Jerusalem will remain intact. I think we see the stage being set for that today. It's not happened yet, but Jerusalem and Israel is surrounded. Hezbollah, Syria, Turkey in the north, Russia in the north likewise. Iran is in the east, Hamas, possibly Egypt in the south, and the Russians dominate the Mediterranean. So Israel is surrounded. But what Zechariah speaks of is a monumental victory on the part of Israel.
Well, now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't there a time when Israel will be surrounded and then the Messiah will turn and return and put his feet on the Mount of Olives? Is that this time?
That I just referred to from Zechariah 12 is not this time. I think there are two battles referred to in Zechariah chapter 12 and Zechariah chapter 14. A great victory for Israel in Zechariah chapter 12, but what that will inevitably do, it will raise a deluge of anti-Semitism across the world against Israel and the Jews. And it then says in Zechariah chapter 12 that God will gather all nations against Jerusalem. Leading up to the Battle of Armageddon, it says Jerusalem is ravaged, its women are raped, it's almost totally destroyed. But the Messiah intervenes, and that's when his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives, and Israel will survive because he does intervene. Zechariah chapter 14.
So in the meanwhile, we can be hopeful that there might be victory and something to be happy about in the future.
The initial victory is a stunning victory for Israel, and the world will recognize it, but the world will recognize also that what Israel has become, and that will create just a groundswell of anti-Semitism against Israel.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hutchens. I realize that we can't ask as many questions as we have on the first time, but can we expect some more Jerusalem Connection reports like this where people send their questions and then you answer them?
I'd be happy to do it. I think that's a good way to have a format where we can really inform and educate people.
So would you encourage people to send their questions?
I would, yes. Please do send your questions to our website, JerusalemConnection.us.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Hutchens, for our first Q&A spot report.
Thank you. And as we say on our regular spot reports, Od ki yavo Shiloh, which means until the Messiah comes, Yevareka Yahweh. Praise God. Bless the Lord.